Hello, it's David Perceptual, and today I'd like to discuss with you a process that I love, and it's just an absolutely fabulous and incredibly powerful process for improving the effectiveness of your communication with others. It sounds at one level almost blindingly obvious, and it's a process which many people will say, well, I do that anyway. And yet when you begin to explore it with them, you find that perhaps they could do it more effectively. Perhaps they could explore it in a more genuine, deeper way. In a way that allows them to really understand another person's viewpoint. Because this process in NLP is sometimes referred to as perceptual positions or the meta mirror, is essentially about understanding the other person's point of view, appreciating their point of view, and then seeing a situation from the point of view of an observer. And yet it's actually perhaps even more than that. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to understand someone else's viewpoint in an interaction? Well, I guess to you it's probably pretty obvious, but somehow for some people sometimes it seems less so. But in essence, if you want to influence people, whether that's in business, whether that's in a relationship, then how can you do that fully without really getting a sense of how the other person perceives the situation? And I guess in whatever way, shape or form it is, we're all involved in the process of looking to influence people. Whether it's influencing students, supporting them to learn, influencing them to believe that they are actually capable of achieving far more than they think they are at a particular point in time. Or whether it's influencing them to engage in a lesson where perhaps they were backing out for whatever reason. Or whether it's about influencing colleagues, supporting them, working together to achieve that greater goal or greater ambition. Or whether it's influencing in terms of running your business and sales and whatever else it is. We're all in the business of influence. And it's just any human communication is based around the idea of wanting to influence the other person. So, people will say, I always understand the other person's point of view. Of course I do. Well, let's explore that in more detail. In this process, in its simplest form, we're looking at taking three different positions. There's first position, which is speaking for yourself. Now, it may well be that you're a very confident person, you're very strong in saying what it is you think and feel. That's great, because that's what you do in first position. It's, this is what I think, this is what I feel. This is my point of view, my needs. What is it that I want to say? What is it that I want to communicate in this relationship? What's my perception of things? Now, some people are very strong in that position. Other people find that more challenging to say what they want, what they need. But in first position, that's what you do. We then move to second position. Now, second position is the other person in the relationship. What really is their perspective on the relationship between these two people? What is it that they think and they need? What is it they need to say? And then there's third position. Now, third position is completely independent observer. In first and second position, there's emotion attached. In third position, emotion is parked, left aside. It is clear, cool, calculating. Observing between first and second, seeing what you see and reporting on that relationship, and maybe making some suggestions as to how to move forwards. Some people are very good in first position, about themselves. Some people are very good at understanding another person's point of view. And some people are very good at taking that detached viewpoint. The beauty of this process is in supporting somebody to go through all three positions and to develop strength in all three positions. Because when you bring the three together, it's a very, very powerful mix. So, I wonder if you can think of a situation, perhaps a relationship that's causing you some discomfort. Perhaps it could be with the student that you find difficult, if that's the circumstance you're in. Perhaps it could be with a colleague who, for whatever reason, you find an aspect of your relationship difficult. There's some tension there. It could even be with the checkout man at your local supermarket, whatever it happens to be, where there is some degree of tension in that relationship as far as you're concerned, and it's not quite the way you want it to be. And I need to think, what is it you would like to change about that relationship? How is it you'd like it to be? And maybe you want it to change dramatically, or maybe you just want to feel better in a particular situation with that person. Whatever it is, whatever your outcome is, that's just absolutely perfect. Okay, now what I want you to do, get yourself set. And I want you to say to the other person, you need to imagine the other person is sitting right beside you, maybe a few feet away. So what do they look like? What are they wearing? How are they sitting? Get a real sense that they're there. Because people can do that, can't they? So perhaps you can do that now. And I want you to say to that person exactly what it is you need them to hear. And it's all right to do it because we know they're not really here. It's just your perception of them sitting there. And now's the time to say exactly what it is you want them to hear. Hear yourself say the words. Say them out loud. And hear them coming back. And how would you describe the relationship? Is there anything else you want to tell them, or you need them to hear? Allow yourself to say however much you need to say to them now, because they need to hear it. That's good. Okay. Snowing here, don't know what the weather's like with you. Now, I'd like you to now take the position of the other person in the relationship. Now you might do it sitting in the same place as you are now, and imagine being them. It can be tricky. Some people find that a little bit difficult, and yet as you allow yourself just to relax into it, you might be surprised by just how close you can get into being that other person. How do you sit as you are that other person? How do you look as you are that other person now? What does your voice sound like? Is it loud? Is it quiet? What's the pitch and the tone? Do they have any particular gestures? Become that other person now. Now you can do that in your mind, or you can do that moving and sitting in another chair. Now, as the other person in a relationship, it's your turn to say exactly what you want to say to the first person. What do they need to hear? How do you respond to what they said to you? And is there anything else? Is there anything else? And how would you describe the relationship? Okay. Now, it's time to go to third position. And as you go to third position, I want you to make sure that you are completely detached. So you are not sensing any of the emotion of first position or any of the emotion of second position. You are detached, the observer. Good. As the observer, what did you notice in the relationship between first and second position? What's going on there? And what suggestions do you have to make to the person in first position? Are there decisions that they need to make? Are there things that they can do to move this relationship towards where they want it to be? Remember the outcome they said at the beginning. You heard them say it. Anything else you want to say in the observer position? Now, back to first position. Now, you've had your say. Remember what it is that you said at the beginning and what you said to the person in second position, and you've heard what they had to say to you, haven't you? And then you've heard what the observers had to say. Taking all that on board, what is it you want to say now? What, if anything, has changed? Which things have changed the most? So, what is it you want to say now to the person in second position? And is there anything else? And how would you describe the relationship now? Now back to second position again. You've heard everything round. You've heard the observer. You've heard how the person in first position has responded. What's your sense now of this relationship? How do you respond now to the person in first position? And is there anything else? And is there anything else? And how would you describe the relationship now? Back to observer position. You've seen it round. They've gone through 2 times now. First and second position. What have you noticed? What's going on? Any more suggestions? And remember, your suggestions are only for the person in first position. Because after all, we know the person in second position isn't really here. They never actually join proceedings. It's all the perception, the projection of the person in first position. But any suggestions for them? What can they do? What do they need to consider? And is there anything else? And finally, back to first position. Having gone through the process, gone round twice, where are you now in terms of the outcome that you set at the beginning of the process? What's changed for you? Now you may well find that things have changed radically. It may well be you've got all sorts of new opportunities and new options in managing this relationship. It may well be that your perception of this relationship is totally different to the way that it was when the process started. The least you'll find is that you are better equipped. You have more flexibility, more choice in how you respond. And with that flexibility and choice comes, generally, and it's up to you what you get from this, but a sense of calm, a sense of release. Many people describe it as having laid down a burden, that they perceived this relationship as being one that was very difficult for them. And actually now, it's okay. They can manage it. Now the person in second position, they may not have changed. And yet I wonder, taking this new perception that you have, this new understanding of the relationship, these new choices and greater flexibility, I wonder if the way that you now interact with the person in second position, when you meet them, when you engage with them in that situation that before was a problem, that they will get a sense that you're somehow different. And that will reflect in their responses to you. So even though they weren't physically here as part of the process, you may well have changed them too. So explore. See what happens. And when you enjoy the success that comes from this particular process,